This is more professional than me.
All right, we're rolling.
We're rolling?
Yes, ma'am. Welcome back, guys, on another treat here at the Cusp for Freedom. Um, if you've been watching our podcast, I'm sure you recognize Melissa. She's
Hi.
been on podcast 11 as she discussed her role or her path to becoming a nomad as a project manager for a tech startup. Today, we'll be discussing another venture that she's been on that is also feasible for you to take with you in order to become a nomad. But without further ado, I'll let her introduce the topic and yeah.
Okay. Hi, guys. Good to see everyone again. Thanks for letting me be on your podcast again.
Thank you.
So, a lot has changed in the last year, I think, since the last time we spoke on camera. I'll just kind of give you a little chronological rundown, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So, last January, I burnt out from working. I was so stressed and so busy. So, I took 4 months off and I traveled through Mexico. I actually started working on a YouTube project myself. And started filming my adventures as I'm overcoming my anxiety towards adventure-based activities.
Okay.
So traveling through Mexico, camping, hiking, doing all these things that I hate doing, filming it, putting it on YouTube. I ended up going back to work in May of 2023, a couple months ago, and I was living in San Cristobal de las Casas in Chiapas, Mexico, and a 10-day-old kitten came into my life.
10-day-old, okay.
Yeah. And I decided I would take care of her, I would nurse her back to health, and then I would adopt her out.
Interesting.
Within 4 days, I fell in love with her, and now she travels with me full time. So,
Wow.
yeah, so we're back here in Colombia, working again in a bit of a different role because doing the project management and operations was too much.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm just doing operations. So working with founders working with founders of tech startups to implement operational workflows in their business, and just kind of managing their teams and helping them with strategic planning. So that's a way better balance. So doing that, and then obviously filming my own YouTube project. That's the core of that has shifted a bit to traveling full time as a digital nomad with my cat.
Wow, yeah, it sounds like a very challenging endeavor, especially. So I want to know what went through your mind when you saw that 10-day-old kitten. Did you automatically know that when you adopted her, it would come with so much other risk and challenges of its own? Like, did you anticipate that you would start a YouTube channel with this kitten, or did you anticipate the challenges of traveling with the kitten when you saw it?
Marvin, my first thought was do not die. Just do not die. Because she was so tiny. I mean, she fit in the palm of my hand. You have to feed them every hour. I didn't imagine this would grow into a whole thing, to be honest. My first thought was just get her healthy. Because what happened, I was living in a co-living at the time. I walked into the kitchen and there was a tiny 10-day-old kitten in a box on the kitchen table.
Wow, okay.
So I'm like, whose kitten? What's happening here? Who did this, right? And one of the girls was like, oh, it was storming, so I brought the kitten in. And I was like, how long ago? Because as I think I discussed last time, I used to own a pet care business. So I'm very familiar with animal care. And I know that kittens that age have to be fed every hour, every 2 hours, or else they die, you know?
So you automatically, your sense was this kitten's been neglected.
Yeah.
Or you need to do something.
This kitten's away from its mom. Kittens that age usually do not live, to be honest. So what I did is I messaged around to every vet in this small town and just said, do you have kitten replacement meal? Because they have a formula you can feed them.
Yeah.
And one of the vets did, and as soon as it stopped raining, I literally ran there as fast as I could. I was falling. I had bruises because I was so stressed. I kept falling in the rain. And brought it back and just started feeding her with a dropper, every hour with a dropper. And then the next day went to the vet, found out kind of more about her. It turns out she was 12 days old or 11, 12 days old, and that she needed to be fed. She was healthy for that age, but they can turn really quickly because you have to keep them in a blanket because they can't control their body heat. You have to feed them every hour to 2 hours. You have to literally help them go to the bathroom. They can't go to the bathroom by themselves. So you have to stimulate them to go to the bathroom. Yeah. So I did that.
Interesting.
Yeah. Until about 3 weeks usually. So we're on the tail end of that, luckily, because I think, that would have been a lot. But I basically just stayed up around the clock for days on end with her. And I just was you're mine. I had such a strong
Conviction.
instinct to just care for her.
Yeah.
And after going through all of that with her and seeing her to the other side and healthy, I was like, she's mine. So then came the logistics, right? Because then I'm like, okay, you're living in South Mexico, you have no home. Like, how are you going to provide for this cat? So I decided that I would get a plan together, right? Like, that's what I do for work. You know, I'm a planner, I do strategic planning, operations planning. I'm like, okay, how would you approach this if it was your job, right? And I was like, okay, she has to be able to travel, right? So when she was 1 month old, I bought her a travel backpack, and every single day, until like we moved here, really, I took her out in her travel backpack.
Wow.
We started taking taxis, we took buses, I took her around town, I took her to cafes, I exposed her, we lived in co-living, so she was exposed to other people. So I was just like, I'm going to start exposing you to the lifestyle that we're going to live. And I decided if she hated moving around, if she hated being in cars and buses and everything, I would adopt her out. I would not force her to live like this.
Yes.
But she doesn't love it, but she got used to it. You know what I mean? And she's fine in the car. I mean, we took 2 flights to get here, and she was totally fine on both flights.
And now she has no choice because she's a YouTube star.
Yeah, exactly. Now she's a celebrity, so she's locked in. No,
She's really not going anywhere.
no, I'm just kidding. Honestly, if her health and her happiness comes first, always. So if we get to a point to where she's like fighting me constantly to get in the bag and get in the plane and everything, I'll take her home and she can live with my best friend. Like, I would never put her through something.
Wow. That is so caring.
Yeah. Ultimately, like, she comes first. You know, it'd be so sick if we lived this lifestyle where we're traveling and I have this cool cat and we're filming and it's awesome. But at the end of the day, like, it's just a project. You know what I mean? And like she's a being on this earth and she deserves a full life.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't think a lot of people have thought about making a huge success out of traveling with their pets. So what clicked before you realized that you could do that, and what steps did you take to better prepare yourself for the endeavor?
Sure. So obviously, like training an animal is mostly about repetition and consistency, right?
Yeah.
So just kind of making sure that we were getting out in her travel bag every single day and getting her exposed to sound and people and just different situations. Because cats are normally just like under the bed, right? You know, they're not normally like out and about. But because she was so young when I started taking care of her, I just got her out fast, right?
Okay.
Also, too, to be totally honest, like being financially stable. Like I didn't go back to work because of her, but it was definitely a factor in my decision-making process because it's expensive to live this lifestyle with animals. Flying with your pets is extremely expensive. Making sure that she has like imported food or the ones that I prefer out here, not in Medellin as much, but like in Chiapas was extremely expensive. And you know, obviously, just like you saw my room, I've got toys and cat trees and all kinds of stuff. Again, she doesn't need all of that. That's me, you know, manifesting my like parental energy into my cat. But I would say just like making a plan, sticking to the plan, and then knowing that like maintaining the financial stability to be able to support for the long term, you know. That was kind of like logistically how I approached it. Yeah.
Okay. So on this endeavor, I guess now that you had the logistic down, and you know it was time to start the YouTube channel, how does someone go from, you know, adopting a kitchen to having a very successful YouTube channel with that kitchen? Like, what's the work that you put in for the channel itself?
Well, we're not like very successful. We're very new, so we're growing.
Well, new and growing, successful.
Yeah.
So.
But no, I appreciate it. I'll take it. But honestly, it's the same as anything else. It's just like, for one, being okay with just being like really bad at something new.
Wow, that's cool.
I think that's absolutely number one. And that's kind of, I think, what I spoke about last time I was on your podcast is just being like, I don't have a creative background. I come from tech ops. If you handed me like a real camera, I couldn't turn it on. I have no idea like how to film anything. But I've got my GoPro, I've got my iPhone, and I've got a story I want to tell, you know? And I think it's just about just like getting into it and starting and just doing it, you know, and just putting it out and being like, okay, so this isn't great, but like that's fine because the next one will be a little better and the next one will be a little better. And that's kind of the process that I'm on right now. So I did that, and then I also joined a great group called Creator Now. Do you know what that is?
I don't know, but
so basically, do you know who Yes Theory is? Like Yes Theory, they're like a huge
Yes Theory?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
YouTube group. So they did a storytelling course on Creator Now.
Okay.
And it was basically, I think it was like 8 weeks or something, and it was like how to learn how to be an effective storyteller. And I joined this Creator Now thing for this course.
Okay.
Because I was like, I need to learn something. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know where to start, and I figured that would be a good spot. Because I knew I wouldn't be great at filming, but I knew if I could get better at telling stories, then the filming part would come, or ideally I hire somebody to film. But we can, later, that's later. So I joined that course, and come to find out, I've got this year-long membership to this Creator Now group, which is just like all of these courses from like these top YouTubers about storytelling and editing and packaging and just like kind of
Delivering.
exactly. And then there's like this great Discord group that you can always kind of chat about like your issues and what's going on. And like, so that's helped me immensely as well. Just kind of like have some resources because like I didn't know how to make a thumbnail. I still don't really know how to make a thumbnail, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, but it's just like, oh, cool. There's a course that Ryan Trahan, do you know who he is? He's a huge YouTuber. Put together about how to make your thumbnails, and I was like, sick. And I watched that, and that helped me a little bit, Okay. So having the resources, and then just like being like, okay, I'm just gonna start filming stuff.
Okay.
Like I would say like for me to get into the creative process, I just started creating shorts every single day.
Okay.
And I still do that 3 or 4 days a week, just to kind of be like, okay, we're editing, we're creating. I don't care if they do great, or they do bad, or I get subscribers, or get likes, or whatever. I'm just working on creating stuff.
Interesting. So do you feel like your formula can be applied in different like categories of YouTube? Like it doesn't matter if they're traveling with cats, dogs, or if they're just traveling, or if they're doing something interesting, they have like the same approach of like, they don't have to be the best video creators, but they have to be like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna try, and I'm gonna do it anyway, and it's gonna get better over time. And also, you mentioned storytelling. So is that something that anyone starting a YouTube channel should be keen on like getting better at?
Yeah, so just kind of like, I think it applies to anything. Just start, just start. Just if you have an idea or something that you want to work on, just start it, or just kind of start getting into it, right? And storytelling, I think, is huge, in my humble opinion about YouTube. I think that you have to engage, right?
Yeah.
People. So you have to have something to provide them a value for them to watch, right? In your situation, you're telling stories about different, or you're giving digital nomads the platform to tell their story, right?
Yeah.
So you have to say, I have an idea. How can I formulate these small stories around this idea, right? So with Mila, it's like, okay, she's going to be a traveling cat. How am I preparing her to travel? Our first trip, like we got on 2 planes, and and it was a whole fiasco. It wasn't. She was fine. I was stressed. Like she actually was the most chill, and I was the highest anxiety. And she slept the entire time. But no, just kind of like saying like, okay, I've got this concept. How do I build these little stories around it?
Interesting. Has it been has the story process and creation been exhausting? I mean, how much time do you put into creating your stories, and what are the different ways that you put your stories out there? Like, do you just create YouTube shorts? Do you also have Instagram?
Oh yeah. So for me, this is a joy of a project. I love this project because it's my balance out to my job, which is very like by the book and very, like literal, and it's a lot of numbers and like, okay, we do this because the numbers say this, right?
Yeah.
So this is kind of my like creative project that I just get to give fun energy to. But with that being said, because I do have a logistics brain and operations brain, I work 2 to 3 hours a day on it, 4, 5, 6, sometimes 7 days a week. Like today.
7 days a week.
Yeah, but that's just me. I don't think you have to do that. I think it's just the way that my brain works is like, some people will do it like one day they'll work 10 hours. You know what I mean? I don't work like that. I do like every day, a little bit every day. Because if I'm editing or if I'm doing something, mostly editing, I need the brain break or else I start to get sloppy, you know?
That's true.
So I do YouTube shorts, like longer videos, and then I have an Instagram and TikTok, but I just kind of recycle the shorts content around there.
Okay.
My main focus is YouTube because I think that as far as like the platforms are concerned, that is the one that has, I think in my opinion, like the most growing power and the most stabilization.
Yeah.
Simply because there's a growing middle class creator economy on YouTube, right?
That's true.
because there's people who are small, there's people who are massive, and then there's like a lot of middle people who are like making a couple $1,000s a month or whatever. And to be honest, like I don't need this to monetize. Like it would be cool if it does, but I can just like work, you know, and then grow it and learn, because I don't think that my videos are good enough for millions of people to watch them yet. You know what I mean? Or to get out to that level of audience, but I'm working towards that. Yeah.
Do you think it would be like it seems like you mentioned like one of the biggest pain point was that it's the fact that it's a very expensive or very spendy. This is a very expensive like endeavor.
Yeah.
That would be very difficult and very or more challenging if you hadn't had the stable job to support it. So would you say that YouTubing is a very challenging endeavor in that sense, given that depending on the topic that you choose to pursue, it may be a lot more difficult to sustain that if you're not working. So do you feel like it's something that YouTube is something that you should pursue, but also have like a stable source of income?
Like do not quit your job to do YouTube. Like that is, you know what I mean? Like work, like have income. And also start where you're at, right? If you have an iPhone, I film on an iPhone and a GoPro, you know. My entry budget was $1,000, you know,
nice.
and I bought a couple things and that's what I film on. Do I have the best video quality in the world? No. But would I know what to do with a camera that would provide the best video quality in the world? Absolutely not, you know? So start where you're at, right? You don't necessarily need like the Rode microphone, which these are very nice. The nicest mic. You can buy one on Amazon for $10, you know? Like, I don't think it has to be a large financial barrier to entry.
Okay.
I think you just start creating with what the resources you have around you. And then if you're into it, scale. You know, if you're into it, then invest some money into it. For example, right now, my MacBook Air is like fighting for its life every time I'm trying to render a video. Like, because it's not built for that. Because I bought it to do email and Slack and Zoom calls or whatever. I would love to buy the M2, like the, you know, like the real deal Pro, MacBook Pro. It's like $3,000. I'm like, we're not there. I'm not willing to put $3,000 into this yet, you know? But when I go to the States, I'm going to the States next month. When I go to the States, I'm gonna spend like $1,000 on a gaming computer that's gonna give me the specs I need to edit. So it's like those iterative steps. If I can prove of concept this YouTube idea and we are making money off of it, then I'll upgrade to the big guy. But I'm not gonna spend that level of money until on something until I know that it's gonna
Until you know it's gonna give you your return.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Do you think that getting a gaming computer will fit all your needs? I mean, I don't know. I think like why not just get like a MacBook, regular MacBook that's $1,000 instead of a gaming computer?
Because the specs that I need to meet my editing software, like you can get the better specs for a lower price point than with a MacBook.
And while you're doing your editing, I mean, it seems like it's taking a lot of your time. Why not? I've heard that you can hire people from like, you know, abroad that can do the editing for you cheaper. If you're set up on Google Space, like we were talking earlier, you upload your videos and they do it for you. So have you thought the logistics of that out? Like, what's the cost benefits of like buying your own computer and doing it yourself with all that time versus like just hiring people to do it?
Right. So this kind of translates to anything that you're going to start in your life. If it's a business or if it's a YouTube channel or any like new endeavor, you need to learn what you want before you can hand off a task. Okay. So if I'm handing work to an editor, I'm not exactly sure how I want the story to be told quite yet. So they can't read my mind. You know what I mean? So I think right now my focus is on learning how to learning what the story is I want to tell, and then that way I can effectively give work. So for example, before I started project management, I learned how to code a little bit. I'm a shit coder, but you know what I mean, like a little bit, just because I could go into a meeting and say, okay, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to do, with having a little bit of an idea of how the data flows within a software system and whatever. So I'm kind of approaching this in the same concept. Is like, I'm going to learn enough editing. I don't have like big transitions or all like the cool stuff. I use like probably like 5% of DaVinci Resolve. You know what I mean? Like of the capability of it. But I need to know how I want the clips put together so I can give that work away to someone. Because you're right, the cost benefit of my time versus hiring an editor, I'm using way too much of my time doing that right now. I know I have plans for how I'm gonna like grow this and outsource. Like, but right now, I got to know what story I'm telling. And I think until you've got a lot of videos under your belt, you don't really know, you know?
Do you feel like it's a wise thing to get an editor once your channel starts making revenue or before?
I guess it just depends like on what your proof of concept point is, right? Like I think you have to have a point where you say like, okay, I'm going to put money into this. And for me, that's consistent money month over month.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to be a lot, but just consistent money month over month, you know? So I think it just depends on like where your baseline is.
I don't know. Do you? I don't know if you have these numbers, but for most YouTubers, the middle class or middle level YouTubers, do their channels make like I don't know. I'm not really familiar how the revenue works on YouTube, right? I know some people make like 40,000 a month. Some people make 5,000 a month. But my curiosity is, does that last for a very long time? Is it consistent, or does it eventually drop down to like nothing?
I don't know. I don't know because I haven't experienced this yet. Yeah. My honest opinion is that the power of that platform is in diversification of revenue streams. So like my plan, more or less, like my plan now is to get the YouTube channel to a certain number and then start a Patreon and then maybe do a product line.
A page line?
Like a Patreon.
A Patreon,
you know?
Okay.
And then do like a product line and have diversification in your revenue streams because you shouldn't put your eggs in one basket ever, right?
Okay, makes sense.
So like I work different contracts now because what if one tanks or you know what I mean? Like it's definitely like not the most stable job, right? So I think you have to have different streams of revenue coming off. And I think that, I don't know, but I think that varies from creator to creator or, you know.
All right, Janice. Where are you guys going next after?
We are here for a while. Like we're going to be here. I'm going to go to the States. Mila is not coming because I have to take 8 flights in 19 days.
Oh, wow.
And that's just like.
That would go crazy for you too.
This is the thing, right? It's like, oh, you should do this, you should do this. I'm like, my cat's health comes first, you know? But honestly, it would be amazing. For YouTube, click rate would be insane on that. No,
Wow.
Yeah, but no, I mean, she's going to stay here because that's an insane thing to do to your animal. And also it cost me like thousands of dollars. And then we'll be in Medellin until like the spring, like April, May. And I think we're going to go to Europe. I've got some plans to do, just have some travel products for pets, like with trains and planes and lots of movement. So I think it'll be good to do that in Europe. Probably be over there, I don't know, 1-2 years. I don't know, we'll see.
You're going to be in Europe? You're going to live in Europe for a while?
Yeah, maybe.
Which part?
I don't know.
You don't know yet?
We'll get over there.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask. So for Mila, do you feel like she'll be in Europe with you?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she'll come with me. I right now I'm planning to bring her with me. But the idea is like we're in that region. Okay, so kind of my long-term plan with her is like we live in the region. There's adventures she goes on and there's adventures that she doesn't go on.
Okay.
You know, based on like how it would be for her. So like if I'm going to like do a 3-day hike, I'm not bringing Mila on that. But if I'm doing like a day thing, I could bring her on that, you know? But I think there'll be situations where we just like stay in a place for a long period of time. People can come and stay with her and then I'll do my traveling around and do my adventures and stuff.
Yeah.
And then she can stay in the same place. That kind of gives her a little bit more stability. But to be honest, like she's pretty chill. Like we've moved like.
She's pretty chill.
She's crazy with me and she's chill with everybody else. I know, right? Marvin, don't call me out like that. No, I'm just kidding. But like moving around, we've moved like 7 or 8 times in her 5 months of her life. So like, so she like settles in pretty quick.
You know, I think it's very. Do you feel like Mila gets more perspective or behaves in a way that it seems like as though she has more perspective about the world than most cats?
I would say she's more engaged than most cats. Like she definitely is like a lot more energy for exploration. But I think that for one, I think it's nurture and nature, right?
Okay.
I think she's got a little bit of that in her.
Yeah.
But also because she has been out in her backpack. We walk around town, we go to Starbucks, we go wherever, you know?
Good nurturing.
Yeah.
Okay, so so your growth plans for this channel is to basically get it to a good enough number where you can then start like a page where you're selling certain products related to Mila?
I think, you know, my long term is like to maybe make travel products for pets. I want to test a lot of travel products for pets on the market, and I want to make them.
That is so cool. That's a
Yeah.
very smart idea.
Yeah.
Very smart
But
idea.
that's like far in the future. I'm not trying to do that tomorrow or anything. The idea is I want to test all the products on the market now, and I want to see where. Let me start that over. I want to test all the products on the market now, and I want to see where the pitfall.
You
where the
know
pitfalls
why I
are.
think it's gonna be a success? Because like posting Mila, you and Mila on the story as like a cat that travels, and you
Yeah.
taking the cat travels. A lot of people like DM me like, oh, that's so cool. I've always wanted to take my cat on travels.
Yeah.
So like I'm thinking like if you reach like a large enough audience and you have that page available to them, I'm pretty sure some people that want to endeavor.
Yeah, the idea is we're building like the brand authority right now, right? I'm out here traveling with Mila. I'm doing all the stuff. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm using this backpack. I'm using this litter box. I'm using this and this and this. I'm trying these things out. And while they're good, I think I can make a great one.
Yeah,
So let's give it
definitely.
a try, right?
Facts.
So, but
Great
again,
idea.
I think we have so much more to explore and so many other things like to try and to really like road test these products, So that's kind of the long term,
Endeavor, yeah. Sounds good. Do you have any okay, how do you find your stays? Do you just look on Airbnb and like pet friendly stays?
Yep. Booking.com, Airbnb, pet friendly. I always message them before and say, hey, I have a kitten. This is the situation. I do not try to sneak her in anywhere. I do not recommend that. Just get in front of it. Most people are cool with it.
Yeah.
Even if they aren't pet friendly, you can usually message and say, I have a small kitten. Is it okay? We're just staying one night. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. So just get ahead of it. Most people are okay with it.
I think dogs are less okay.
Yeah, kittens are a little more,
More so, yeah.
Let me go find her. That way
Yeah.
she can be in the video.
Okay.
I need some water too. I'm fucking sweaty. Are you not hot?
No, I'm cool.
Oh my God, I'm dying up here. Oh, Mila, come be on the podcast.
Yeah, what a good day.
Milagro. Hi, will you come be on the podcast, please? You're the star of the show. What? I go upstairs to play and you come downstairs to play? Is that how this works? You say anywhere but where mama is? Come here. Sorry, we're like... Mila has to go be filmed, She's the star. Oh, you're fine. Okay.
Hi. Hello everyone. So this is Mila, the digital nomad cat.
My digital nomad kitty cat.
She's very adorable and nice.
She might run away soon because honestly, she lives free. Like, I went and got her to be on camera, but she,
She might not want to.
yeah, we'll see. Do you want to hang out? You want a treat? That's too big. Hold on.
Yeah, she's still a very small kitten.
Yeah, she's only almost 5 months.
Aw.
But no, I mean, she's
very
perfect.
Lucky. She's a very lucky cat.
Yeah, she is. I'm very lucky too. Honestly, she's a maniac and she's insane and she's the sweetest. And she's just like, kind of like, okay, bye. She's kind of like a weird embodiment of me. You know what I mean? Like, Mila, come here. Milagro. Oh boy.
Yeah, I think she's a lucky cat. I wish like I feel like if people watching you travel with your cat is gonna inspire people to travel with their kids.
Yeah, with her kids?
Yeah. I think it could, right?
Yeah.
Because like if you're traveling with your cat, why not travel with my kids?
Yeah, I think honestly, like you can make traveling work for anything. But I think it's really important, especially if you're looking at traveling with an animal, is that you expose them a lot beforehand. And if they're not built for it, do not push
Force
it.
them,
You know what I mean? Like I said, if she was not cool with being in cars and whatever. And she has days like I'll go to put her in her backpack and she runs under the bed. I'm like, okay, you don't have to go. You know, like don't force them. But I would say that like your animals want to be with you.
They know,
you know?
they know what they want, basically. And if they don't want to be in the backpack, then they know they don't want to go on.
Yeah, some days she doesn't want to go on the backpack. So I'm like, okay, then don't go on the backpack. And that's okay. Because like, obviously if it's in the interest of her health, I'm going to make that decision. But they have days. They have good days and bad days. And sometimes they don't want to leave the house either.
Interesting.
So.
I heard cats can like tell if you love them by the way you look at them. Is that true?
If you like slow blink at them, that's like the thing to do to say that like you love them.
I love you, Mila.
Mila, come here. Mila. She's like, what is happening? Who is this? She's so funny. But no, she's the joy of my life. Like, I can't, like the day that I started taking care of her, like everything changed. Like, and I know people said that about their kids and stuff, but to be honest, like that's how I felt. It was just like my whole perspective of my life changed.
Wow.
And I knew that I wanted to travel and I knew that I wanted her to be with me. But like, I am just so grateful for her companionship and for her just like my mental health has been much better since she's been around. Just like having something to care for and having something that like just kind of hangs out with you all of the time.
Yeah.
I love this lifestyle, but it can be lonely.
Facts.
You know,
Facts,
like we
facts.
both know that. We've been out here a long time, you know. But having her like makes the lonely times a little less lonely.
Like an emotional support.
Yeah, kind of. And you know, like even if I'm in a place where I don't necessarily want to like be like we're in that city in Chiapas for a long time and it was not my favorite place in the world. But we're walking around and it's just so disarming having her out because people don't view you as like a foreigner. They're like, "Oh my god, look at that little cat." You know? So it's just like she brings so much joy to me and she brings so much joy to like
Everyone.
other people too.
Facts.
So it's just it's amazing. She's amazing.
It's good vibes. Good vibes every time Mila's around. Do you feel like okay, I have two questions.
Yep.
Do you think that given your story on how you grew your YouTube channel with Mila as a digital nomad cat, is this applicable to everyone given that they go in whether or not they know they'll still fail, they learn how to tell stories, they learn how to do thumbnails and whatever it is that goes into making a good YouTube. Do you think everyone, especially with a growing trend, has a good chance of becoming a YouTuber?
I think it's just about consistency. It's honestly, it translates to anything you're starting new, right?
Okay.
It's just like work on it every day. Do a little bit every day. I guess the question is like, what is a success?
Oh, I was about
like,
to
what's
say
your
that.
measure of success, right?
Right.
For me, like, I just love the community part of it. Honestly, people message me, they talk about their cats, they give me advice for Mila, I give advice to people, you know, and that for me is honestly fulfilling because I think it's just cool to like people are like, oh, I don't want to bother you about my cat. I'm like, no, I want you to. You know what I mean? Like I'm just a normal person. I'm not like a person. You know what I mean? I'm just like a normal with my GoPro and phone running around with her. You know, so I guess it's just measuring like the success. You know, and not making it monetary because you will never be happy if your goal
It's
is
just
money.
Facts.
Across the board, like
Facts.
with anything.
Facts.
You know.
Facts. Okay, so I guess taking the takeaway from that is like the first thing you should look at when pursuing a YouTube channel is not to go in to make money. You should go in to want to make content that brings you joy and brings other people joy as well. I like that approach. That approach makes sense. Okay, my next question is for the next 5 to this is 5 years. For the next 5 years, where do you see your YouTube channel being, and where do you see your job being?
It's an interesting question, right? Because I think about this a lot, to be honest. I would like to continue to grow the YouTube channel, grow the community around it, right? Like I talked about, maybe doing like some sort of Patreon situation, some sort of travel product situation. I'm not exactly sure how that transitions with my work, right? I actually really like what I do now. Like I really like doing operations and working with tech founders. I think it's like a really cool way for me to like use my natural skill set of just being like pathologically organized along with like understanding a bit about the tech world, you know? And to be honest, like I have all the flexibility I want now with doing that. So I don't have any plans to like quit my day job because I don't have a day job I hate. You know what I mean? Like, I would say like anytime you can work for yourself, it's always the best, right?
Yeah.
But I work for people who work for themselves, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So it's not like
the worst.
yeah, like I really enjoy it. So I don't have any timeline on that, but I know that if I were to look into a situation where I would solely be working for myself, I would have to have multiple income streams, consistently high income streams, like just because it wouldn't be worth, looking into transitioning out of my current work. And like I said, I can already work anywhere in the world. I can do anything I do. I work 4 hours a day, so it's like, I don't know.
It doesn't get better than that.
Yeah, exactly. I have a pretty good gig. And I think I know this from the pet care business. Once you make a passion a job, it's different. Yeah, everything is different, So if I can kind of have this like fun passion project that's maybe making me some cash, that'd be amazing. But also be like, okay, but you still have to get up and work because you have meetings and
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like finding that balance over the next, 5 or 5 years, whatever, 2 to 5 years.
Makes sense.
Mila, come here. Come be in the video. I'm going to get you with treats.
Can I give her a treat?
Yeah.
Hey, Mila. No?
Oh. She's like, hello? Okay, good job. Good job, baby Mila.
What is this?
It's a freeze-dried beef liver.
Okay. Please dry beef liver.
Only the best for Mila.
Okay.
It's a little baby.
That's a spoiled, not a spoiled, very loved cat.
She's a spoiled cat. Come here. She is a very spoiled cat. It's okay, you can say it. Everyone, it's so funny, people message on my YouTube channel and they're like, in my next life, I want to come back as Melissa's cat. But she puts up with a lot of, she sits in a backpack and she goes on planes and like, there's a lot of trust built there,
Yeah.
So she definitely, she puts up with a lot of shit too.
What have I not asked? Do you have you adopted any philosophy with Mila? Or it's just...
She's going to be a cat.
Have as much fun, let her be a cat.
Let her be a cat. She's going to wander around. She's going to walk on these high ledges. I don't want to ever contain her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because I think that my personal philosophy is not wanting to be contained, right? Like, that's why I live as a digital nomad, so I can travel. So why would I... why would I force her to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
For example, like we're on this roof right now and I see 95 ways she could jump off. You know what I mean? Like but you know what? She's a cat and she's a street cat, you know? So she has a natural instinct to where she walks up to like the side and she's like, oh, that's too far, So she's a cat. She's gonna be a cat. She's gonna be a cat. Okay. So I think like letting go of like that my want to control everything and just let her exist. But like I said, her health comes first, her safety comes first, like we do different things like we put screens up in the windows if we're living on the second floor or something, like I just want to make sure that she doesn't like run and jump at something, if she sees a bird, but cats are smart inherently, honestly, and they're definitely more likely to
live longer.
Yeah, like if she would, whatever. But finding the balance between keeping her safe and letting her be.
Okay, makes sense. I don't know. Is there anything that I didn't ask? Let me see. Trying to think. What would somebody needs to know? No, I don't think so. Okay. Or do you think that okay, for example, you said traveling with her, you might need to buy like a bunch of like cat toys and stuff like that. And depending on where you stay, those might be a necessary purchase. But what do you do with those things when you leave?
I donate them. So I'll donate them to an animal shelter when we leave.
Okay, that's a good ways.
Yeah, and I only buy like the cat tree or like that big furniture when we're gonna be somewhere for 6 or 7 or 8 months. She has toys that we travel with. She has like a little tunnel and that packs down. I'm gonna buy her like a cat hammock when I'm in the States because that packs down, like 80% of my luggage is hers. Like I only have a small amount of stuff. But no, I donate it to animal shelters when we leave because they need it the most.
Okay, that makes sense. I can't think of any more. I think.
Do you want me to give like a closing thought?
No, what would I need to know if I want to start a YouTube channel?
Start a YouTube channel. Just start a YouTube channel.
Just start the YouTube channel.
Just
Okay.
start a YouTube channel. Just start. You know, just get out there, if you have an idea, get your phone on it, see how it goes.
I'm pretty sure that's like your advice you gave last episode.
Just start.
Just start.
Honestly, it is my best advice across the board for all of life. Like if you want to be a digital nomad, start being a digital nomad. You know, just look for a job online. Start figuring out what skill sets you have to be able to offer for an online job, right? And start looking into those. Just start. Go live in a different city for 2 weeks. You know, just
start.
Yeah.
Well, you guys heard it from her. You heard it here first from the one and only Melissa. So, yeah, it's been a pleasure having you on this episode again. I'm sure. Hopefully, we'll have another episode sometime in the future.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how, when, why, but
yeah,
it feels like we will. And yeah, it's always a pleasure having you on the podcast.
Anytime.
To get your perspective. So, thank you so much.
No, you are welcome. And if you want to follow us, it's Mila and Melissa on YouTube. Check us out.
Links in the description.
Links in the description. Yeah, Meals. No, that was so fun. I love podcasting.
Yeah, that was a good episode. So, yeah, I want to pick your brain a little bit for this idea.
I'm going to stand up. I'm sweating.